Hey, what's up? Frank Donahue here. One of the coolest stories in history, one of the most inspiring stories that I find is the story of the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire back in 1519. It went on from 1519 to 1521, and there was a military commander who was commissioned. His name was Cortez. He was commissioned to take his troops from the island of Cuba on 10 vessels across the sea over to Mexico, invade the Aztec Empire over in Mexico and steal their gold and take it back to the land, the homeland. Basically occupy the land of Mexico and take the gold back to Cuba. And he was very, very driven and very relentless in his activities, and so much so that he was not going to be defeated. He was going to fulfill his goals and see it all the way through to the end, and he wasn't going to let anything stop him from victory. So he devised a plan basically to take these 10 vessels with all his troops on them, go across the sea. He was going to come through the center causeway and invade from that area. So what he did is when he got to the land, that he was getting ready to invade, he was out in the harbor with his boats. He had his men all leave the ships and take route over to the mainland, but he left one platoon of his troops behind on the boats, and he ordered them to burn the boats out in the harbor. So when everybody finally congregated and they all got up and they got into formation or ranks up onto the mainland, he gave a quick little speech and he told his troops to turn around and look behind them. So they did, and they looked out and they saw the burning boats. So then he said to them, "You see that right there? That's your way home. So basically, you have none. We burned the boats. The only way you're going to leave this land is if you defeat these guys. Then you take their boats and you go back to the land." So basically what he did is he eliminated all chance of retreat. He told them, you're either going to persevere or you're going to perish. So what an inspiring and brave way to make sure that you reach your goals. So based on that and being inspired by that story, I've made some decisions this year that I burned my bridges, and 2010 is going to be an explosion for us because I have no retreat anymore. Before, when you start up a business and you start getting it through and you run into some complexity and some difficulty, basically what happens is, you get into a situation where you run into some adversity, and it's real easy to go back into your shell and retreat and say, you know what, that's too hard. I don't want to face it head on. I don't want to deal with the complexity or the problem. It's easier to just retreat. So, the term itself, burn your bridges, basically came from, military commanders through the years. After Cortez had devised this plan, they basically adopted the same plan for themselves. And a lot of the different ways to invade different countries and different areas for occupation was to enter through bridges. So the troops would come through, the commanders would burn the bridges behind them to, again, eliminate any chance of retreat, and basically seal their fate that they must be victorious or else they're going to perish. So it's kind of a tragic story in one sense. It's kind of an inspiring story in another, because if you set that up in your own life going forward from here on out, that you're not going to take no for an answer. Whatever you set your mind on, that you focus yourself for, if you burn your bridges behind you and say, you know what, I'm not stopping, I'm going to be relentless, I'm going to be focused, I'm going to bust it out until I get it done. That's the attitude you have to have, because whatever you focus your mind on, and you take the activities and you do the things that you need to do, and just keep being relentless and going forward, moving forward until you reach that goal, success is going to be inevitable to you. So I challenge you this year coming up in 2010, if you've had some difficulties in the past, focus in, zero in on what it is that you really want, and burn your bridges behind you, and don't stop until it's done. Put your head down and just plow through until it's done. So if you like that, I hope you do. I hope you enjoy that story. I hope it motivates you and inspires you as much as it does me. I hope it helps you to make a transformation in your life, and maybe, create a paradigm shift in the way you're thinking right now. Because, if you want drastic change in your life, then you have to change the way you've been thinking before. Because if you're not satisfied with the results you've been getting, then you got to change some things, and your thinking is probably number one. So burn some bridges this year coming up, and make this a prosperous, healthy, and happy year for yourself. And if you want to find out a little bit about me, you can click on the link to the right on your screen, and that'll put you in touch with some information about my business, about myself, and we can have a conversation and maybe get in touch and come up with some ideas for you on how to burn your bridges this year. So again, thanks for clicking on the video. Hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.